Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video, we are going to go over everything that we know so far now that we have the legislative text on rental assistance, aka stimulus bill says we get $25 billion of rental assistance. What does that mean? How do we get it? How does it work? I'm going to explain everything that we know as of right now. Now, this video is coming out just 2 hours after the bill came out. This was one of the first things I rushed to. So consider this a little bit more of a, second look. It's not like I've got answers to absolutely everything yet, but I've got some pretty good insights already. And so I'll be able to get you set up with your expectations. Keep in mind, I'm going to pull this up right now, but if you want to build your wealth, check out the programs down below. We've got that coupon code expiring in 5 days. The end of the day on Christmas, that coupon code will expire, and you can email me for a bundle at kevin@mekevin.com. Just a heads up, I am behind on answering emails, so I will get back to that very soon. There's so many. I'm sorry. But I will get back to you. Okay, so here's what we know about rental assistance. First, we know it's $25 billion. We also know it's going to be state operated. Let me just pause on that because that's actually a really important part. By saying that this is state operated, really means that we might not have every single answer that we want right now because it's not only the states that are going to be involved, but it's going to be the local government. So for example, if you're a landlord right now and you work or you're used to working with Section 8, it's entirely possible that some of the agencies you already work with or you know of, that they're going to be the ones dealing with this rental assistance payment money. The federal government is going to allocate money to states. And the federal government has some guidelines, which we're going to go through those guidelines, but ultimately it's going to come down to states and local governments for distribution. So we've got state or local government allocation. They're going to deal with it. The eviction ban has been extended only to January 31st. So this means if you're behind on rent or you're a landlord who's got a tenant who's behind on rent, you're going to want to hop on dealing with these applications as soon as they're available. My guess is the application portals would be available sometime either after December 28th, maybe even the first or second week of January. And you're going to want to be one of the first people in to apply. So if you've got a tenant, if you're a landlord, you've got a tenant who's behind on rent, or you are a tenant and you are behind on rent, get your ducks in a row right now. And I personally would figure, what's my back rent from, whatever date you stop paying, so June 1st, or stop receiving rent June 1st or whatever, through the end of the year or the end of January, whatever. Get these numbers ready, because you're going to be able to not only request back rent, but you're also going to be able to request some future rent too. So a lot of exciting things coming in this if you've been having issues with paying rent or getting rent as a landlord. All right, so the states are going to get granted the money. You're going to apply through either the state or local housing agency. The landlord can apply on behalf of the tenant, but the tenant is going to have to sign. So if a landlord applies on behalf of the tenant has to sign. So you want a good relationship with your tenant if you are a landlord. Remember, it's not their fault. In many cases, it's not everyone's fault here in the country. We got to work together on this. So try, even if you've been out of rent for many months and you're struggling, or you're a tenant and you're behind on rent, I know frustrations are very high. One of the things I teach in my real estate courses is anger and frustration, unfortunately, doesn't solve problems. So we got to do whatever we can to work with each other. But I know for some people, they're going to hear, I've got to get the tenant's signature. That's going to be a problem. Do whatever you can to mend fences here. The tenant can also apply directly, or the landlord can help the tenant apply. So there are really three options here. Tenant can apply, landlord can apply by helping the tenant, or the landlord can apply on behalf of the tenant. The money then, whatever money is granted, goes directly from the government to the eligible landlord or the utilities. Which, quick pitch for those of you who are landlords, go to metkevin.com/deals. This is a great opportunity to try to find deals before they hit the market by working with Deal Machine and getting your face in front of people who might want to sell their properties before hitting the market. The market is really, really tight, and we got spring coming up. I would check out metkevin.com/deals to see how you can get into investing in real estate and get some of these deals or get more deals before the spring selling season comes around. metkevin.com/deals. So the tenant won't actually touch the money. Now, it'll be interesting to see how they verify that the person you say you're renting from and you're behind on rent from isn't like your uncle or something like that, right? Like, oh yeah, I've been renting for the last year and I haven't been paying rent. That'll be interesting how they actually have like catches in this and checks on these rental agreements. I imagine they're going to want to see copies of your lease agreements, copies of maybe previous payments you've made, and you're going to want to be fast on these applications, so you might want to start getting some of that stuff ready. I personally would just have a Google Drive folder, and I would start putting stuff in there. PDF export of this, PDF export of this, initial payments, security deposit made, rental agreement, anything you got to verify that you're legit. It's going to move you to the top of the line fast. As a tenant, you'll also need to document some of your income, so stay tuned for that. Now, here's that part. You get prioritized as a tenant, or basically the tenant, whoever the tenant is, the tenants get prioritized if they have an income that is lower than 50% of the area's median income. So this gets a little tricky. The easiest thing to do here is just to pop up a Google and type in, for example, area median income, Ventura County, whatever county you have. And then usually you'll find a housing agency website that looks something like this. And it says, okay, the bill says prioritized for those whose income does not exceed 50% of area median income. Okay, 50% of area median income, there we go. One person is $39,000 for this county, County Ventura. Two people, it's $45K. Three people, it's $50K. Four people, it's $56K, and so on and so forth. Goes up to 8 people here. And so every county is going to have a different measure of this. So you will want to check whatever agency ends up doing the application processes, whether it's your city or the county, what their area median incomes are. And again, you could just do a quick Google with that. What did we Google? We Googled area median income and then the county name. Okay, so back to the sheet here. Unemployed are also prioritized, but you can't just lose your job. You have to be unemployed for 90 days. So document this. If you've been unemployed, if you were let go or whatever, and you need to apply for this rental assistance, put that in your Google Drive folder and document this. And get your 4 free stocks with Webull when you deposit $100, because why not? The link's down below. You deposit $100, they give you 4 free stocks, and then you can go trade with that $100 and make some money in the stock market and get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes via the link down below, because why not? All right, then to qualify, the tenant has to attest, which just means state, probably sign something, that someone in the household, just one person in the household, has to be at risk of homelessness or at risk of housing instability, which housing instability is defined as something as simple as just being late on a utility bill. So if you're late on a utility bill, boom, you could potentially qualify for this rental assistance. You could get up to 3 months of future rent money. This was previously thought to be potentially more, but up to 3 months of future rent money and 12 months of back rent. You could also get back utilities, home energy expenses, and other housing-related expenses. I don't know what that means, but personally I think hey, I had to buy an air purifier because of COVID. My favorite one is at meetkevin or metkevin.com/air. That's my favorite air purifier, metkevin.com/air. Anyway, that's because Lauren has asthma and the fires and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm wondering, and I don't know this, I'm just speculating, I wonder if that could be considered a housing-related expense. In my opinion, that sounds like a reasonable expense during a pandemic. Who knows? So I'm not exactly sure what other housing-related expenses could be. It could even be something like, hey, we had to, do a pest service. That's in theory, that would probably qualify more. Pest service for a house, landscaping maybe, that could be deemed a type of utility. I imagine TV, internet, that's a type of utility as well. Keep in mind though, if you are applying for money and you're requesting this money for these different segments, the money goes to the person that your money is owed to first. If they don't take the money goes to you. So the county or city handling this distribution money will try to contact your landlord first. And if the landlord doesn't take the money, then it goes to the tenant. Okay. 90% of the money has to go towards rent, utilities, home energy, and so on. 10% goes to housing stability. And my biggest recommendation for this is apply early. Because if you do not apply early, you're going to have, I think, issues. Because here's how this is going to work. There's going to be a $25 billion pot. That pot is going to get divided by the territories, by the states. And then once the states get the money, then that's going to get divided into local governments, cities, counties. And they're going to have this pot of money. That is a limited amount of money. It's a finite sum. My guess is that if the agencies get a bunch of applications and they're like, okay, we got, just as an example to make things easy, we got 100 applications Well, right now we got money for all of them. Great. Well, then it doesn't matter. Then they don't have to prioritize. I mean, you could be employed. You could have over 50% of the median income, and you could not be unemployed, essentially. And you might be able to get your rental support if you apply early. But let's say now 10,000 people have applied, and there's only enough money to make numbers simple here, 9,000 people. The people who are going to get moved to the top of the list are ones who do not have more than 50% of the area median income, which I broke that down, and people who are unemployed, or I guess I should say, or people who are unemployed, either one of those. And then they're going to try to keep payments to people who are making less than 80% of the median income. So you can see their goal is to be able to go back to Congress and say, look, we gave most of this rental relief money. We gave, X% to people making under 30% of the median income, X% to people making under 50%, X% to people making under 80%. Higher your income is, the earlier you better apply. And if you're a landlord and you're like, oh, my tenant, I don't know, I think they're probably higher income tenants, you better apply with them day one. And it's dependent on your local agency. So if you're wondering, where do I apply and when do I apply? You're gonna have to pay attention to your local housing department. Me personally, starting Friday, no, probably not Friday because that's Christmas Day. Starting next week, I'd be on the phone with my local housing agency. Have you heard anything? Where do I apply? When do I apply? Absolutely. I'd be trying to get in line right away. This is a time thing. We've seen this happen with the EIDLs. The money runs out. We've seen this happen with the PPP. The money didn't run out there, but we had an application deadline. So that's what we know right now on rental relief. I hope this is very helpful for you. If it is, consider sharing it, consider subscribing to the channel, and folks, we'll see you in the next video.